Hello, good afternoon, everyone. This is me, Chiang Rai. We are live from Khaosod English building, right? Khaosod office right here. And here with me are my colleague, Kun Jintamas, Saksornchai, and my boss, Todd, Ruiz. Now, they were just recently back from Luang Cave complex where, they have been giving coverage and breaking news for the last days about this massive rescue operation of the wild ball football team สวัสดีครับผมอันนี้ผมที่นายจรุวัฒน์จากข่าวสดภาคภาษาอังกฤษวันนี้ผมจะมาเป็นพิธีกรสำหรับรายการนะฮะตอบถามคำถามสดนะครับผมจากผู้ชมทางบ้านครับอันนี้คือคุณจินามาศนะครับผมนักข่าวสดอังกฤษของเราและอันนี้บอสผมครับคุณท็อดรูอิสทั้งคุณท็อดทั้งคุณจินามาศเนี่ยได้เพิ่งกลับมานะฮะจากถ้ำหลวงขุนน้ำนอนที่จังหวัดเชียงรายนะฮะหลังจากที่ได้ลงพื้นที่ปฏิบัติหน้าที่ทำข่าวแล้วก็เราก็มี breaking news มีการรายงานสถานการณ์ต่างๆมากมายซึ่งวันนี้เนี่ยที่ผ่านมาเราเป็นคนสัมภาษณ์คนอื่นใช่ไหมฮะอันนี้เราเป็นฝ่ายถูกสัมภาษณ์บ้างผู้ชมทางบ้านถ้าท่านไหนนะครับมีคำถามอยากรู้อะไรเกี่ยวกับเหตุการณ์ที่เราทำงานกันนะฮะก็ถามมาได้เลยนะฮะในช่องคอมเมนต์นะครับผม now like before we start with the questions from the audience, should we probably discuss first about this, probably the biggest international story coming from Thailand right now? Yes. How did this story break itself in the newsroom? Let's wind the clock back to June 23rd, June 24th.
Sure, I remember. Excuse me, came back with a little cave cough. I remember coming back from the weekend, and it was Monday, and there's this story about this football team missing in the cave, and it's in Chiang Rai. And I remember, my initial reaction was, well, this could grow into a big story. I have a very strong memory when I was a boy, the baby in the well story, baby Jessica McClure. This was a story that everyone in the U.S. for all the days this story, everyone stopped what they were doing. And everyone was perched on the edge of this well that this baby had fallen in, and was hanging on every development. So when this news, the beginning of the story, kids are missing, but also initially believed possibly trapped somewhere inside the cave. Now, of course, in the newsroom we tend to be cynics. We tend to assume the worst. We assume, well, maybe they're not in the cave, maybe they're running around the forest. And then over the first few days of the story, we sort of assume that, there's a lot of stories like this that don't have good endings.
Yeah, I remember I was pretty cynical. I kept
Sure.
telling Todd and you that I don't have much hope and all that. But what about you, Tao? What was your first reaction when you thought you first heard the news?
Well, my first reaction, I of course hope that they would trap somewhere inside the cave and remain alive. And I know that if they have enough oxygen, if they have some water, they will be able to stay alive for quite a while. So I have my hope.
Oh, so you actually way more hopeful than probably two of us combined. All right. Okay.
Well, I remember by day 5 or 6, we had some stories. And that's when the language starts to appear in this things like dimming hopes. As hope fades to find them, you start to see that kind of wording to go into the stories because it makes sense. And then by the following weekend, it's been a full week. It looked bad.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. But then we got word that we weren't getting updates on the progress of the search. And I remember Jintamas telling us that, keeping me updated that, they're at this point, we should know, good or bad, we should have an answer soon. And sure enough, I think within minutes of the word getting out that they had found the discovery by the 2 British divers on the Monday before, that they had found the kids. You were on the phone. Yeah. We had a story out in minutes, and you and I were basically on speakerphone, typing together, getting this news out, getting updates, and following this thing. And at about, I think, 2:30 in the morning came the decision.
Yeah, about 2 or 3 in the morning.
You're going.
And then, you just decided, you should go to the cave.
You're going to Chiang Rai.
So that's
That's it.
the
Yeah, so
story.
that's the story.
All right, and Todd followed like several days later. And all right, okay, now let's move on to questions from the audience, and we have.
And can folks put in questions now?
Oh yes, of course. You have questions, please. You can leave your comment questions in the comment section. อย่างที่บอกนะครับถ้ามีคำถามอะไรนะครับผมที่อยากถามคุณเจนนามาและคุณท็อดเกี่ยวกับการไปทำข่าวที่ถ้ำหลวงนะฮะก็สามารถถามได้เลยนะครับใน comment section เดี๋ยวผมจะแปลแล้วก็ถามให้นะครับผม Okay, now we have a question from คุณ Grand Yabs from Reddit, the place where internet best come to meet. Now,
Hello Reddit. Thailand.
hello Reddit. So there was, a massive media presence outside the cave, and Kun Grand want to know how much competition was there. Like, was there any arguing or squabbles or some skirmish among the media at all, trying to get this one story? Hot down.
Well, I mean, like I said, that went up Tuesday. I followed 2 days later on Thursday. I need to be in the newsroom here. This kind of thing, normally you don't want you wouldn't send the general in the field. But in this case, I mean, after the kids were discovered alive, and the only news that we're going to produce is cave news, then it made sense for me to be there. And so, but I showed up, of course, a little bit of a Johnny-come-lately. I'm showing up on Thursday. It's 12 days after they disappear. And I'm getting there after the news that they were alive. I think that the mushroomed the amount of interest, media, and people arriving on scene. Mm-hmm. So yes, I mean there are hundreds and hundreds of reporters corralled into this small kind of square. Mm. I mean, just within view of the entrance to the cave. By this point, they had blocked people from getting up to the cave, but the pathway up to the entrance, basically, the press was corralled to an area across from that. A lot of international press, a lot of course, all the domestic media is there, and sure, there's competition. And as with any of these things, temperatures run high. People are under a lot of pressure, especially foreign press, to get the story, TV to break the news. So, in that regards, we're very fortunate. We're very fortunate because we're not international media. We're hometown media. And we've got good people. We've got a nice team. We've got not just Jintamas and I are the two for Khaosod English. We've also got all the Khaosod Thai reporters as well. There were some skirmishes. There were some fisticuffs. A unnamed Japanese reporter and a Russian.
Probably.
Oh.
Yeah. We don't know for sure. Just
there was
assuming from the way they talk, they were pushing each other.
There was some shoving.
Yeah, shoving.
There was certainly a lot of frayed nerves and kind of there's always an amount of unpleasantness to this because you get reporters who just their MO to get the stories to kind of try to bowl over everyone, and I'm sure that that's effective enough. I would say not the best way to get a story. So you get pushy reporters. There was some kind of not altercation, but there was a Thai reporter for a wire service who pretty much was getting harassed by a Thai reporter from a domestic service, and she called him out and apparently had her phone snatched away from her, and
it was captured on live video too, I think. It was a mess.
And it was secondhand rumory stuff on ended up on Drama Addict. But look, I gotta say, I mean, by and large, reporters were respectful. They cut the roads clear. They followed the rules. They behaved well. I certainly don't think it was anything unusual or anyone out of line compared to for a situation like this.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, did anyone try to push you or
Any unpleasant experience?
Yeah, any experience from the video?
No.
Okay.
Fortunate. It was quite fortunate for me that I didn't get any harassed. I didn't get harassed or anything.
All right.
Trying to get a news.
Okay, good. Now, moving on to the next question. Oh, this question get asked a lot apparently. Kun Cream Dermahongs, I assume it's French, for Reddit ask, what about the what are the boys and the coach who are reportedly stateless? Was there any sign at all that would get their Thai nationality? Well, I think we reported about this just an hour or two ago, right? And Jintamas just reported about that.
Just reported.
So what's the station? What's the latest?
Oh well, I mean there were words from the Interior Ministry that they will find some way to grant citizenship for them. But then, of course, the governor said that it has to run through its like proper legal course. And it is known that citizenship is a long and difficult process in Thailand. 2 years ago, United Nations reported that there are more than 400,000 of stateless people in Thailand. So,
and they've been waiting for national ID, a national ID card and citizenship for in many cases 20 years.
Years.
And so let's see if this newfound fame would help them.
On the one hand, you can understand people's sentiments, people's hearts going out to these people saying, "Hey, let's do something nice for them. They just been through hell." On the other hand, it's is that fair to bump them up in the queue and other people who've been languishing for years? I'm glad that's a question that I don't have to answer.
Exactly. Let me translate real quick for our Thai audience นะฮะสำหรับผู้ชมจากข่าวสดภาษาไทยนะครับผมเมื่อกี้มีคำถามมานะจากเว็บไซต์ Reddit มีคนถามว่าแล้วโค้ชเอกกับเด็กหมูป่าทั้งสองคนที่มีข่าวเป็นคนไร้สัญชาติเนี่ยว่ายังไงจะได้สัญชาติไทยไหมคือทางข่าวสดอังกฤษเราเพิ่งรายงานข่าวนี้นะฮะคุณจินมาศเพิ่งทำข่าวเรื่องนี้เลยก็คือคำตอบก็จากทางผู้ว่าท่านใหม่คุณประจนนะก็บอกว่ามันต้องเป็นไปตามกระบวนทางการกฎหมายซึ่งก็ไม่ทราบว่าจะใช้เวลานานแค่ไหนนะฮะประเทศไทยเรามีคนไร้สัญชาติใช่ไหมเป็นระดับ4 แสนเลยนะครับผมตามตัวเลขของ UN นะฮะก็หลายคนรอสัญชาติมา10-20 ปียังไม่ได้ซึ่งก็ไม่แน่ชัดนะครับว่าทีมหมูป่า3 คนนี้เนี่ยถึงแม้ว่าจะมีชื่อเสียงนะจากการติดจุดในถ้ำจะช่วยได้หรือไม่นะฮะในการได้สัญชาติให้เร็วขึ้นนะครับผมโอเคนะครับmoving on คุณเมียวมาว555 from Reddit what's the story behind the sacking of Governor Narongsak Osot Thanakon during the time he was leading the rescue effort well he wasn't sacked during the
I think you're the man to answer this question.
Right, I would take liberty of I actually wrote about it. Well, Kun Narongsak was actually the order to transfer Kun Narongsak came in April.
Who was he? Back up for people just tuning in. Who was Narongsak?
So Narongsak, he was appointed the governor of Chiang Rai province in 2017, and he was transferred out just a year after that. So he spent only a year as a governor of Chiang Rai. The order came in late April. It was to be effective in early July. But then the cave rescue happened first. And even though he was already replaced formally by a new governor, Kun Prachon, but the government actually extended Narongsak's position as a leader of the rescue operation.
Is that a normal thing? Is that just default disaster recovery?
Yeah, usually by default, according to Thai disaster prevention laws, the governor of that province has to be the leader of the rescue operation or any disaster relief effort. But in this case, the government actually went out their way and saying, "Kun Narongsak, you keep doing your job, at Tham Luang until it's over."
It was very well received in that.
Was well received, yes. Now there's a lot of speculation why Kun Narongsak was transferred in the first place. Now I can tell you facts. The facts are Narongsak, declined to sign off on a series of construction projects. He refused to sign on some monument, aquarium, which at first they called as a fish complex.
The fish museum.
The fish museum complex, right?
But it was a big one. It was a big one. Institute.
And also another tourism landmark, and also some, waste processing plant, whatever. Now the wrong
Wasn't there a statue in the middle of a river or something?
That includes as well the statue ofพ่อขุนเมงราย, in the middle of Gok River. And the Narongsak refused to sign all this. He said, it's shady. It's the contractors are known to be friends of the people who proposed the construction, and the money could have been better spent somewhere else. And Narongsak gave an interview to Thai Post in March, a very fiery interview, saying he would rather be transferred than having to sign these dodgy contracts. And guess what? The order to transfer him just came like a month later. So these are the facts. And I'm not going to speculate on camera apparently, but so. As you can imagine, many people are questioning it's.
You can't speculate, but people online
speculating.
Yes. What have they said?
They said that Narongsak, lost his job because he refused to get his hands dirty. Now, I don't know if that's true, but those are the speculations.
Those are the sentiments out there.
Anyway, now moving on to Kun Steve Smith from Facebook. Steve says, you all did fantastic job up there, thank you. For compliment.
Thank you.
You were always the ones breaking the news. How did you do that? Was it better contacts? Did other media outlets share tips, or were you just quicker on a keyboard and live streaming? Now, since you two were the one breaking news, how do you guys do it?
I first of all, thanks, Steve. That's kind of you to say. And it's it's a combination of some of the things you said. Look, first and foremost, we're fortunate to work, being a part of Khaosod. I mean, those not familiar with Khaosod, the Thai newspaper, they're outwardly focused, whereas most of the media is very Bangkok navel gazing. Khaosod's strength is in the provinces. It's very Chaoban, as we know. So Khaosod has boots on the ground in every province. And it just so happened that in Chiang Rai, there are some local people there who were very well connected and very great sources of information. And in fact, we did, I think every day we broke the big news of people coming out the cave. I think we were first. And the truth is that we actually knew all the developments that we're reporting. We knew well in advance that they were coming. We had regular updates on which kid was where at what point in the cave, and our agreement with our source, who we can't burn, was that we would wait until there was a timestamp on the moment they came out of the cave, and that's when we would report it. Now, so we give the credit to those people and to our folks up there. For our sake, I would say that by having that information, we were able to prepare stories. I mean, we were writing furiously on my Samsung on our phones, stumbling through the field, composing stories as we eat hard-boiled eggs and sip water and fend off the elements. So we had stories ready to go. An interesting thing that kind of makes sense, but people may not be aware is, you have to kind of be prepared for all eventualities. So we're actually furiously writing several versions of stories. The good news, the mixed news, and then of course, we got to be ready for bad news. So we prepared different drafts.
And we are happy, we're glad that we didn't have to use those.
Oh
notes.
man,
yes,
it was so wonderful.
Right. And actually, I remember that I was told from Jintamas, actually we were told, Jintamas found out probably hours in advance before much of we will discover about the fate of Kun Saman Kunan. That Kun Saman died inside the cave during the dive operation. Now, with object in mind, how do you first find out that there was a death of this diver in the cave?
Like Todd said, it's a tip off from our local reporter. He is very, very well connected in the area, and we first known that a diver had died in the cave, but we didn't know who. So
around what time did you find out actually?
Around 7 or 8 in the morning.
After 7, between 7 and 8.
Between 7 and 8 in the morning. We received information that a diver had died in the cave, and his body had already been transported outside of the cave, and we were waiting for a confirmation, some kind of additional source, any kind of confirmation, but we were writing up in advance. Just in case. And then the deputy governor announce the death. Just,
Confirm the death,
confirm
right.
the death. Just an
But
hour
by that
after.
point, we already had a draft ready.
Yes.
It was,
because-
yeah, as soon as he said it, we hit publish.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of people may think that. I mean, look, I get the impression media is up there desperate for a story. They get anything, they're going to run it. That's not the case. At least not. I mean, I think with most media, not the case. Maybe some. For us, though, we had very painful conversations about what to report and what not to report, and having rumors, having information, and wanting to get it out, wanting to get at people, but having serious conversations about. Do we have enough to go with this? Is there a way we can frame it? Sometimes it's okay to report something that's rumored if you draw a big red circle around it that says rumor. So, I mean, these are deliberations constantly going on that inform our ability to publish things.
Now, next question. We have a question. Actually, I think we got this a lot, and since some people already asked in the comment section on Facebook, it's about the media too. This question that do you think do you think you give a fair balance to media coverage between the news about the cave and the death of the Chinese tourists in Phuket? People felt that the media sort of
Sure.
give very unbalanced
Sure.
coverage. So as a reporter and as an editor, how do you justify this kind of perceived imbalance in the two news?
Absolutely, that perception is entirely valid, and had those boats gone down in another week, we would have all been scrambling over that. In a very, I hate to say it, but in a very practical level, we have very limited resources and we have very few people. So when we have all mobilized at the mouth of this cave to cover this, for us that leaves us little. I think we wrote a couple stories back in the office. We relied heavily on our wire partners to get stories out about that. There's a lot of perception that we are driving the narrative and making choices. We're very demand oriented. So when we have the crush of global pressure and interest on one story, and we've thrown everything we've got at it, it's an unfortunate situation. And we were talking about this, and we were trying to make sure in the newsroom that there was going to be coverage of what happened down in Phuket. If we could hire 4 or 5 more reporters, we would have sent another OA team down there, absolutely. At the end of the day, we're doing the best of what we have. But certainly, I get the perception that one story is minimized at the expense of another, and all I can say is it's certainly not a willful choice.
Yeah. While you doubt, you think we give too much attention to one news and too little attention to other news?
Well, to be fair, I think the attention of people have been very, very much focused on the cave news as well. It's not like we haven't reported anything about Phuket at all. We did, I think, pretty regularly as well. Not as often as cave, of course, but yeah, I think we did give quite a fair share of balance once there's any updates on the situation, updates on death tolls, updates on any missing passengers found. But yeah, a lot of attention has been put on Tham Luang, and a lot more people are reading Tham Luang stories,
Right.
more than Phuket stories as well.
Yeah.
And we can guarantee that we saw all of these in the comment section that there's some kind of conspiracy to silence one news, and like that's, I can assure you, like, this is not speculation. There is no a conspiracy that I know of. Anyway, now more questions.
We could do a whole segment just on
Yeah,
random
seriously.
conspiracy theories which have emerged about this. Yeah.
There was even like conspiracy too about this, that this cave was actually like this drug, some kind of
Yes.
drug
Yeah.
hideout,
Right.
and the kids were kidnapped. They were stuck in the cave.
Yeah.
Like, you won't believe what
Man, that would have been even a bit better story. Wouldn't it?
right? Okay. All right.
I encourage people, read story, then read the comments. Read story first,
And
then
then-
read the
yes.
comments.
Now we have a question. From Facebook. Facebook Live. many local outlets have been criticized for being unethical or professional. Do you see anything unprofessional or unethical from the domestic media as seen at all?
Well, I only know what I've been told by the authorities. Of course, during some press conferences, they were mentioning that some drones were flown in the flying routes of the helicopters. They were in standby in case the kids came out. Radio channels have been tapped and published, and yeah, it's just like spreading some rumors that are not true, and that's why the authorities decided to prosecute.
Reporters have always listened in on radio channels.
Yes.
That's time immemorial. You know, the
Yes.
police scanner, every
Yeah.
newsroom does it.
Yeah, every newsroom does it, but
The drone thing is interesting, though.
yeah.
And I don't know the technology. I would assume that a Black Hawk helicopter is operating on another channel that can't be brought down by someone flying a toy drone. But I don't know. I don't know. And this is an interesting question about, you know, if you don't know, then what is the line where you're told by the authorities you shouldn't cross? And if you don't know where that line is, then where on the side of caution do you err? So I know that PPTV apologized for doing that, largely because they got in a hot stink mess over it. But yeah, otherwise, you know, I mean, if you consider a lot of the domestic press got criticized for maybe some sensationalism in how the tone of the coverage. But I don't know, and that's up to their audiences to decide.
Actually, next question was from username Steak88 from Reddit. Actually asked exactly about that. Do you feel the story was turned into a bit of drama in some ways?
Well, in all due respect, I cannot imagine a more dramatic story. I mean, I don't think it's the media turning it into a dramatic story. The moment those kids were found alive, again, you've got the baby in the well, you've got the Chilean miners, you've got people perched on the edge of and their children, and they're in peril, and it's following, I mean, it follows this arc that if you made a Hollywood movie out of this, you kind of wouldn't buy it. You'd be like, oh, it's so predictable. Oh, they're about to die. They're going to suffocate. They're out of oxygen. The clock is ticking, you know, and you can see The Rock gearing up in his scuba gear to go save those kids or something. Like, it would be too much. So I mean, this was... I don't think you could add any drama to this story. Had plenty built in.
All by itself, I think.
Yeah, and the happiest of endings. I think if I know me as a cynic and a skeptic, if I saw that movie in the theater, I'd walk out. So you know, such a Hollywood ending.
Right.
But we're so glad, of course, to have it.
Some people on Reddit ask, is it your first time in Chiang Rai?
No, it's not. It's not my first time.
Not your first time in Chiang Rai. Todd?
Yeah, no, I've always meant to go up there. I always want to see the White Temple, the Black.
Oh yeah, by
the artist yeah. Anyways, but in 10 years somehow I still haven't made that trip. So you know, calamity is a good excuse.
right. So, but actually, you know, as a Hokkien, Jintamas is from Uttarakhand, by the way, in the north. So I always wonder, like, do they speak like different dialect over there in Chiang Rai when you arrive at the scene in the cave? Like, do you understand?
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
local?
they speak dialect, of course, but I think most people are able to like communicate in standard Thai pretty well. So we didn't have such problems, and I can understand them even though they speak in dialect.
Okay.
Not 100%, but I can.
Right, make
say,
out.
I can make it out.
Okay, alright. So, well, apologies for that, you know, for my Bangkokian ignorance. Anyway, Dave Ellingworth from Facebook asked, where do you guys sleep? Where do you sleep? Like, you tent, you know, like in the tent?
If he expected like some dramatic answer that we slept in front of the cave, then sorry, we didn't sleep in front of the cave.
Came close a few nights.
Yeah, a few nights. But then you know we have a room and that we can stay. But of course we pulled long days. We started very early and then left very very late at night. So yeah.
A room is a stretch.
Yeah.
There was never a moment I was keeping Rongram. I was never like thinking about that bed. But it was technically a place to lay down, yes. We did pull some wood. We did, we were up there at least 12 hours at the original cave site before they moved the media. That was kind of an arduous location. It's humid, it's hot, it's raining, it's very muddy. You're in boots up to here, slogging through mud. But, what do we have to complain about? Nothing compared to what other people were experiencing.
Right. Just
we were tired.
Indeed. Just out of curiosity, I'm aware that when you guys arrive at the scene, probably like the landscape was already changed. But do you see any sign near the cave at all that say something about like do not go in during rainy season or whatever? Do you see any sign at all?
Well, there was a sign at the entrance of the cave. But I'm not sure if it was put there after the accident or not.
Since we weren't there,
we
since
weren't there
day
from
one,
the beginning.
so many questions are asking in the comment section, like was there any sign?
Right, was there anything to prevent them?
Yeah, but too bad that we didn't see it.
We didn't see it.
But apparently I think they just walked right in. And some people have gone so far as to suggest that, maybe if the priorities weren't building statues in the middle of rivers and securing these locations and investing in the parks, and maybe a better. I can imagine that the caves around the country are going under systematic review and are getting padlocks. I would hope.
Yeah. Oh well, but as a history student, I'm not allowed to ask what if. So anyway. Many people are curious. Do you need or see this Belgian? I think it's Belgian diver called Ben. In the rescue scene. Do you see him? Do you?
No, I did not see him.
You didn't see him.
I saw him. I think on Saturday he flew back, and I saw him get out of a van and walk into the site. That was about it.
Okay, all right. Okay.
What? Any questions about him or?
No, it's just because there was some
He's
rumor.
handsome?
There was some rumor apparently on the internet that he was banned from the rescue site. Yeah.
That circulated some days. You said you had seen that image.
I've seen that in the media. I can't really say for sure if he was banned or not.
Do you see any sign?
Only what people said that he gave a lot of interviews. That thing I know that he gave a lot of interview, and then the authorities said that there were some volunteers hired by media outlets to go inside the cave, take some pictures from them. But that's how much.
Right.
That's how much I know. I don't know if
But
it's
do you
directly to Ben.
do you see any sign like posted? Like Kun Ben cannot come here. Like do you see it at all?
I did not see. Maybe I wasn't observant enough, but
Okay. Right. Because it seems like there was this one picture that said
Circulating.
Yeah, but like but Tunima didn't see you on eyes, but maybe.
yeah, maybe just my fault. Maybe I wasn't very observant.
All right. Okay.
Any other questions?
Okay. Let me see. Wow, this is quite technical. This is a question from Kun Jandet lesson from Reddit. There was a lot of talk about oxygen bottles. Was that really oxygen or just colloquial for compressed air diving bottles? If the former, what was the purpose and how was it used? That's the question. Kun Jandet. Any?
Well, it's just too technical. We are not involved. We're not involved in the operation in any kind, and we cannot answer this, and we don't want to speculate anything. I can only tell you what I've seen from the site. There were signs warning of dangers of explosive materials. I've seen oxygen tanks, diving tanks, some refill tanks being delivered in and out of the cave. So yes.
Yeah, there were normal, regular dive tanks, and of course there's an oxygen resupply chain all the way through, and so they had, of course, large tanks to refill those. And theoretically, where those went, I don't know. And what was inside the tanks, the mixture. Sorry.
That we don't know.
Okay, I think we have been living for some time now, for 30 minutes.
Any last questions?
Mm-hmm. Well, many people. I mean, many questions we got probably about the cave in itself, and not about the coverage. Like we have questions: how can we survive in the cave? Well, since they weren't stuck in the cave themselves,
Don't go in the cave.
Now, let me see.
Check the weather forecast before you go in the cave.
Did you get to meet any members of Navy SEALs teams or divers?
Well, we've seen them walking around, but they wouldn't give any interview. I mean, we've talked to some volunteer divers.
Right. The divers. Okay.
Volunteer divers who are in charge of bringing oxygen tanks or like supplying whatever the SEALs need inside the cave. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so you met the volunteer divers, like you talked to the volunteer divers, but not the SEALs.
Yeah, and some of the stories we quote, by name. Some of the volunteers who are in there. The 18 expert people actually in the final rescue op, those people out of reach. But there were divers involved in laying oxygen canisters, in laying lines, and basically the huge logistics that went into clearing the way and preparing it for the successful evacuation.
I have a question from Kun Nina McFall. Well, since now that the 13 is now safe, what is your plan going forward with the coverage?
That's a question for the editor.
For the
I think right.
Well, I think we don't want to jam cameras in the family's faces, but certainly people want to hear these stories. People want to hear what it was like to survive that. I mean, because people can't imagine being trapped in the dark for 10, 11, 12, 15, 16, 17 days, especially the first 10, when you don't know there's help coming.
And without internet too. Oh God, the horror of that.
Yeah, so I mean, they're hearing some of those stories. Absolutely, I think we want to try to get some. We want to know questions about these kids are now going to be celebrities, and how are they going to the attempts to exploit them and their fame. How are they going to be protected, allowed to be just kids? What's their life going to be like? And I think we want to know that we want to hear about the people, the heroes in this story. What their experience was. We want that scene at the end of Star Wars where they walk up and they have the medals pinned on their chest. I think we all would like to see that. And if we're going to take this in a cinematic way. So yeah, we're looking for those human stories. We want to know what not the fallout, but
epilogues. Could we say like aftermath or right? Right. Okay, we have a question from Kun Chris Harkins. Would you rather fight one horse-sized Elon Musk or 100 duck-sized Prayut Chan-o-cha?
Well, as long as I've got my mini sub. I mean, am I in the mini sub, or can I ride the mini, or can I wield? We got to have some more details before I can make a decision.
Kun Harkins, you need to give us more conditions on
that's something we got to go back up there. In like a month from now, and go behind the Ottawa building where that mini sub is like rusting and has been forgotten, and get the story on that.
Right. Okay, moving on.
Right in the mini sub.
Right. Okay.
Thank you for the question, though.
Yes, there was. Okay, we have now. We have a comment thanking Khaosod English for the coverage on Kun Nastia Ripka. Oh, the Russian.
The Russians.
Okay,
that's a whole other show.
That's no other show. But thank you anyway.
We're forbidden from discussing that. Kidding. Now, and we should mention our colleague Rajana Prabhu just came back last night. Couldn't join us today. He just flew back, but he contributed great to our effort as well.
คุณธนิต Satang said, it seems to me detailed and interesting info about the rescue and the boys were derived from the task force team rather than the authorities. What do you think?
Well, then you need to define what is interesting
Yeah.
and detailed information about the kids.
Yeah. And as far as we know, the media are still not allowed to talk to the families, I think. Right? I mean, where were the families during all this when it unfolded? When back then when there was the kid, did you get a chance to talk to the family at all?
Yes, there was this corner designated specifically for family members, and there were signs saying I think medias are not allowed in there.
So there was actually a sign forbidding the media from talking to families.
Yeah, but then they were moved from that tent to inside of the office building, so the media couldn't get in.
I mean, I don't think anyone is forbidden from talking to anyone.
No.
If families want to talk, and some of them have. Some of them are beginning to. So.
Yes. Okay. All right. What's the? Actually, Jintamas, since you were in the news conference, and a lot of people, have this attention on the governor and the Rongsak. Even in fan arts, even internet tribute, he was always the center. He was the most prominent face. I really saw many music videos made by internet people, and, on social media, and it featured the Rongsak. Since you were you were in a news conference almost every day, how was the Rongsak in real life? What was he like? I mean, as far as you can.
Well, I mean,
as soon as the camera turned off,
as soon as the camera turned off, no, there's no moment camera turned off or anything. I think he's as determined as he's very sharp in everything that he has to say. So yeah, and he wouldn't answer anything that he wasn't confident. He wasn't
no
confident.
speculation.
No speculation at all. He wouldn't answer anything.
But I will say I was very surprised that the international media who were complaining about lack of information, infrequent updates. They would hold a press conference and they would send their Thai fixers to go listen. Never ask one question. They were not jumping in with follow-up questions. Some of the Thai reporters asked a few questions. But that was strange because generally if someone did shout out a question, he would attempt to address it in some way.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, English questions. He always tried to address them.
Okay. So my question. Now that Elon Musk had left his life-saving underwater machine in the cave, does it mean the Thai military now has 2 submarines? I think the first batch hasn't arrived yet, right? I think the first batch arrived.
We're back in business. We're back in business.
All right.
The waters are safe again.
Okay. Could you see yourself one day traveling to Tham Luang and see for yourself the cave, or would you not?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And I mean myself, yes. And I imagine that this is going to be. This is now going to be on the map, a big destination. I mean, they want to make it a museum. For the amount of pain, effort, and everything this community has gone through, I think, and it got a happy ending. I think they're going to see a return from that in a big way from people coming and spending money up there.
What are you without? Do you have cave phobia now? Or?
Not a cave phobia. I'm not committed. I'm committed to that, but of course I'll be open for discussions. Okay. And I think, of course, it would be interesting to see once it's turned into a proper attractions as promised by the authority with all these safety regulations in place.
Right.
I mean, it depends on how tastefully they do it. They could make it a real, cave adventure ride. Get evacuated from the cave, zip lined out.
Right, it would be quite a scene. Kun Thanit actually elaborated that he meant that it looks like many many circumstances about the rescue and the boys were given informally by divers and volunteers rather than official.
Right. Sure.
Do you agree with that, or it seems like information came out like informally
Yes.
rather than formally,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
How many originally when you got up there Tuesday? There were how many press briefings?
Two. One in the morning, one in the evening.
Mm.
There was an
And
AM
then-
and a PM.
Yeah,
That's
and
it.
then
Mm.
at some point they just did one, like once a day.
And it was irregular.
Yeah, it's irregular, and I think Arongsak mentioned that at one point, at like towards the end of the briefings,
Oh.
saying that yeah, he did apologize to the media for not being very
Oh,
informative.
that's okay.
Yeah, and he said that any information coming out of his mouth has to be confirmed like 100% before he can
I
say
see.
anything.
All right. Okay.
Well, and there did seem to be an interest in putting out positive information and putting a positive spin on things. And I'm not going to comment on what I think of that. Typically in some parts of the world, you have a crisis. You have hourly or every 2-hour briefing, and you know that it's going to be it's going to be the truth. And maybe it's not going to be all the information, but there's going to be more regular briefings than that. So in a situation like this, you got 1 or 2 short news conferences each day, and you also look. We're journalists in Thailand. We don't necessarily assume that all the information that's provided from official sources is accurate, because it routinely proves not to be. So, you have hundreds of reporters looking for a story, and then, they're only hearing questionable things once or twice a day. Yeah, they're gonna go look for it elsewhere. That's natural. That's independent.
Yes.
That's an independent media. So, and hopefully they're gonna do their due diligence to report things that are reliable, or at least frame the information they get in a way that readers understand the level of veracity to it.
Okay, all right. I think that probably wraps it up for now. Yeah. Okay. Now, thanks everyone. The audience for tuning in, and thanks for your questions. We tried our best to answer the questions that we think we can. Now, for more, of course, please don't forget to smash that follow button on Khaosod English so you won't miss any.
Like us on Facebook.
Yeah. I mean, and actually, what was your routine in like your wake up time, like when
My wake up time?
in doing the cave report?
Well, at first I attempted a lot to go to the cave by 7 a.m. I think I managed to do that in the first couple of days, but then as I had to stay awake for a pretty long time, sleep like past midnight or 1 or 2 a.m. every day, it just fell apart after that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
In general, information was only coming out by 9 a.m. at the
Yeah.
earliest, so
Yeah.
we were getting there still by
Yeah,
between
pretty-
8
pretty-
and 9
yeah,
every
between 8
day.
and 9, and then leave probably.
We were there till 2 a.m. one night
Yeah.
morning.
Well, in just random fact information, I woke up at 3 a.m. this morning. Anyway, thank you everyone. Don't forget to follow Khaosod English, and we should do a sign off to our audience.
That's
right.
Yeah.
This is Todd Ruiz. I'm the editor. Thank you for joining us.
And it's Jintamas Saksornchai, staff reporter.
This is me, Chiang Rai, and thanks again for your attention.